you could actually compete with like the Johnson and Johnsons of the world or these big brand name companies that are listing their products on Amazon. Because more oftentimes than not, like if you search on Amazon for any specific product, most of the time you find brands that you've probably never even heard about.
Hey Foundr fam, welcome back to another episode of the Foundr podcast. In today's episode, we're going to be sharing something really special with you. We hear from you guys all the time, and one of the things that we always get asked is like how to tap in to this huge opportunity happening right now, which is using Amazon to start or grow an e-commerce business. Now, you might not know this, but half of every single dollar spent online is spent on Amazon in the US. And this is an ongoing phenomenon for first-time entrepreneurs making millions of dollars building their business on the Amazon marketplace. So we wanted to learn more, and we reached out to an incredibly successful Amazon seller, Melisa Vong, and through our research, we actually decided to partner with Melisa and get her to share everything she's learned about Amazon with you guys. So Melisa is joining us today, and we're going to go deep on everything Amazon from someone that's made tens of millions of dollars on the platform. And at the end, if you really enjoyed this interview and you want to go deeper, you can come to a free training and workshop, which we did with her, which will help you find the perfect product to get you started. Just go to foundr.com/Amazon training. Okay, please welcome to the podcast, Melisa Vong. So Melisa, the first question I ask everyone that comes on is, how did you get your job? AKA, how did you find yourself doing the work you're doing today?
Yeah, I mean, great question. Obviously, most people probably kind of get thrust into whatever role they're in today. They don't really do it on purpose, but it was kind of by chance. So my background was in car sales, actually. So I worked full time selling cars, and essentially, just to make the ends meet, because I was living downtown in like a 600 square foot condo. Rent is very expensive in downtown Toronto. So you're always looking for sort of side hustles or things that you can do to be able to not just only afford rent, but be able to enjoy the expensive meals that the city has to offer. So that's what Toronto's kind of known for, right? Their food life. And I am a big foodie. I love food. So to, I guess, feed my food addiction, I would do a bunch of online like affiliate marketing, build websites, that kind of thing, and then stumbled across an Amazon FBA ad where I guess I was targeted, obviously ideal customer and everything, by someone who was selling a plugin. So, naturally watched the webinar and kind of found myself going down this rabbit hole on YouTube, just watching a bunch of videos like, oh, people are selling, the most random, obscure things on Amazon and just absolutely crushing it. In the back of my mind, I thought nothing of it. I've always wanted to start my own company or brand one day, but didn't have the funds to do so, didn't have the resources, and didn't have the time. So it was kind of just like a pipe dream until I basically a couple of weeks later met someone who had been selling on Amazon for a couple of months, and it kind of re-sparked my interest in it, and naturally had so many questions for them, basically asked them to go for dinner over wings. And yeah, that's what gave me the confidence to jump into it. And I was like, you know what, I have to do this. There's no way that I can, continue with working a 9 to 5, selling cars, at every beck and call of these customers that call me in on my day off and everything else. And just jumped into it, and then ended up launching my first brand, which was a botanical skincare company, Namskara, which has since been acquired. And, I've gone on to start multiple other brands like Orphic Nutrition alongside my partner Bryce, and ended up selling that company as well recently. So Amazon has definitely changed my life for the better.
Yeah, awesome. So you're teaching an incredible course on how to start a business on Amazon FBA on our Foundr platform and our course platform. And this is a topic that a lot of people in our community are interested in because it's a very, very interesting business model. So can you talk us through kind of what Amazon FBA is and why this model is really powerful? Like, you've started many multi-million-dollar businesses, you've started many different brands, like you have a blueprint and formula for this, but can you just give context to everyone around this model? Because It's an up and coming model from my perspective. It's been around for a while, but it's an up and coming model because there's a lot of companies buying and acquiring Amazon brands. So we see a trend here in the marketplace. So I'm curious to hear kind of what is Amazon FBA, what is different as opposed to, starting a Shopify store.
In simple terms, Amazon FBA just stands for Fulfillment by Amazon. So basically anything that is sold on Amazon's marketplace that is fulfilled by them, that's considered Amazon FBA. So obviously there's different models and business models that you can kind of do selling on Amazon. You have drop shipping, that's not considered FBA because those products aren't fulfilled by Amazon. But then you have wholesale, which is when you purchase product in bulk and then you basically send that inventory, whether you purchase from Sharpie or big brands that have an already established name for themselves, and then you start selling their products because their listings are already existing on the marketplace. So you can do that through wholesale, and that is considered FBA because those products are sending into Amazon and they're actually fulfilling those products. And then you have private label. So private label is what I mainly focus on, or white labeling, it's also known as that, where you basically are piggybacking off of, not only just Amazon's infrastructure, because, they're the largest marketplace online in the world. So it'd be crazy to ignore them as, something that you can utilize to your benefit. And when you utilize their infrastructure, like their fulfillment services, their customer service, they have so many different reps around the world that can help provide you 24/7 customer service, especially if you're just starting out. If you're just starting a business or a brand, there's no way you can either afford to have 24/7 customer service out of the gate, or even you'd have to do it yourself, but you'd need to sleep, eat, and shit some point in the day. So it's not feasible for you to do it all by yourself in the beginning. So when you leverage a company like Amazon, it's this massive infrastructure that you can really tap into and utilize to your benefit. And not only that, but with the private label method, you're utilizing the manufacturer's infrastructure. So their manufacturing processes, their years of experience making a specific type of good, you're piggybacking on their machinery. You don't have to go out and spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on your own equipment. You can just piggyback off of what they already have in place and simply get them to make some customizations and add your branding or your logo. And there's companies like huge brand names like Kylie Cosmetics, right? They started off as a private label brand, simply piggybacking off of ColourPop's infrastructure for manufacturing things like lip glosses. So it's really, really powerful, and it's not something that's new. Private label has been around for a while, but when you pair it with a platform like Amazon, it becomes very, very powerful because you don't really need to invest as much as you would if you were starting from scratch.
Yeah, and so look, I've become interested in this space, and we don't really talk about it like at Foundr. So, we met you, and you've started many different brands. And one thing that was really unique and interesting to me was when I have met people in the past, or we have tried to interview successful Amazon founders or founders that have a big Amazon store, or built their business off the back of Amazon. A lot of them actually don't want to share their numbers. They don't want to share how much they're making. They don't want to share what their products are or what their brands are. And everyone seems to keep it a secret. Would you be able to share with us kind of like, what your first month looked like on Amazon? Because I'm curious, and like a little bit more, I guess, about kind of the power of the platform, because there's just like it's a massive platform, and there's so many buyers ready to buy your products if you find the right one, which we're going to talk about more.
For sure. I always thought that was such a funny thing, it being part of this Amazon space, is that everyone kind of has like their products as a closely guarded secret. And I've always been open about, the brands that I've started or have invested in or have worked with. And I think that there's a lot of power in being proud of what you've built, and being not just the face of the company, but being excited to promote it. And I'm sure friends and family would love to support you if you would share what you're doing, right? Take a look at Tesla. Like, the reason why it's so powerful is because Elon, he's the face of the company. He's not afraid to put himself out there, and people relate with people more than they do with just products itself. So I think the reason why a lot of people, want to purchase a Tesla is because they love Elon and everything that he stands for and what he does for the planet. So it's really cool that you can not only sell, products to your personal brand that way, but in terms of Amazon, selling on Amazon, no one had heard of Namskara. It was like this, it just started it basically. First month selling on Amazon did about $30,000 in sales. And that was like my year's salary working at BMW. And to me, that was so crazy, right? Just the fact that how were these people even able to find me? Like I had barely done any promotional work at that time. Obviously had some friends and family kind of support the brand, but then I remember my first organic sale that like didn't come from someone that I knew. I was like, who is this person? I don't recognize this name. I was like, how did they find me? It's so exciting. It's that first sale, it kind of made it all real for me. And it made me realize, there is a lot of power behind Amazon's marketplace, and I should really, really tap into this. So that's basically when I decided to quit my job at BMW. Actually, the last straw for me was when I booked a vacation. It was for a week long, all inclusive, going to Mexico. Super, super excited, but then it got denied because month end was around the corner and they cared more about their profits over people. And, I just didn't sit right with me. Like, having someone tell you when you can and can't take a vacation, like that's absurd to me. Even though I had 2 weeks vacation, I never took a sick day. Like I never took a day off. I would come in on my days off, and now I'm being denied the 2 weeks that you guaranteed I should be able to have. It even says in my contract I get 2 weeks, out of the year. It's not that much, but at least give it to me. But they couldn't even do that. So it just made me realize I couldn't work for someone else. And that I had to take matters into my own hands. So, selling on Amazon definitely changed my perspective on work-life balance. And now I'm able to work from anywhere in the world. It's really location neutral, being able to sell on Amazon or run an online business. I think that's why it's so enticing. And, so many people are interested in the e-commerce or Amazon space.
So I'm curious, like who's like the right person to kind of look at this kind of business model? Because there's many different business models, right? If you want to start an online business, and at Foundr, we want to give people the tools and the education, and we go out and find, people that are actually doing it, and we get them to teach on our platform. But not only that, 99.9% of our content is free. We put out so much content around all the different kinds of online business models or online businesses you can start, and then how to grow those businesses and everything few and far between. So I'm curious, kind of for this kind of online business, who is Amazon FBA for, and who would you recommend it to?
I think Amazon, it can be very powerful for either people who are looking to start a business and leverage some sort of existing platform, or it can also benefit people who have existing brands, people that are already selling, whether it's on their own website or through retail, but now want to diversify a little bit and then get their products on Amazon. I think that it's super important for people to not ignore Amazon, just because it's such a robust platform where there's so many active users on it, where you just can't ignore it. Like 50% of all online sales in the US are done on Amazon. So that's a lot of the pie that you're missing if you're not tapping into Amazon. And if you have an existing brand, you can run into problems of people who will actually sell your products on Amazon without your permission because you didn't, jump on the chance to sell on Amazon first. So that can get really, really complicated. So I do definitely recommend at least getting that, online real estate on Amazon, whether you're just starting or you already have an existing brand, because if you don't sell your product on Amazon, someone else will.
And how were you able to go from like $0 to $10,000, or for you $30,000 in your first month? Like, how was that even possible? How did it feel to achieve like that kind of success on your journey? Because Like I can tell, like just being honest, like for Foundr, it took a couple of years, well, at least at least a couple of years to kind of, get to $250,000 a year. Like you got there in your first month. In the first month for Foundr, we made like the magazine subscription made like a few $100s in the first month. So like, yeah, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to, serving the customers and filling a gap or filling the need for a specific product. Like for you, obviously you have, your millions of people now subscribing to your content for entrepreneurship. And I think that's amazing, incredible what you guys have done, being able to grow Foundr to the size that it is now. Even if it took you a little bit of time, it's still, it panned out and you stuck with it. So I think that's very admirable, and you're inspiring the masses by doing that. But you not only are filling a gap, but it's by providing quality products that will then get people to want to come back and repurchase from you again and again and again. So for example, with Orphic Nutrition, we had basically like a 44% repeat customer rate. And that's the power of building, a brand, but also products that sell or good quality products that actually help people and benefit them and solve a problem. So the fact that we're able to, sustain such a high repeat customer rate is also due to the fact that, Amazon has their subscribe and save model. So we were able to tap into that, and, just reoccurring, we would have thousands of people ordering and reordering every single month. And that's also something that attributed to the growth of, that company and brand. With Namskara, getting to, the first $30,000, I thought was going to be the hardest part. But it did take a lot of sleepless nights, obviously, gearing up for launch, sending people to your listing, figuring out the most effective way to send them to that listing. Back then, we used things called like super URLs, but now you have to adapt because things keep on changing. Super URLs are out. Now people are using two-step URLs. And now people are using, Google redirect URLs. So there's like so many things that you have to really stay on top of as you want to grow the business. But yeah, hitting the first 30,000 was surreal, first of all. Honestly, could not believe that many people wanted to buy, natural oils from me. And then hitting $1 million was another really great milestone in our first year. And I didn't think that it was even possible, let alone being able to exit the company as well. So it really just goes to show, if you build something that people actually want and that people, something that's amazing quality, and you really focus on building that customer centric business model, you'll be, ways and ways ahead of your competition.
Yeah, I love it. And I'd love to delve a little bit more for everyone watching, kind of going through your prime product method. So you obviously have a repeatable formula, and you've done this multiple times. So for anybody watching, kind of what is this method? Can you talk us through it, and can you tell us how it works? And yeah.
Yeah, the prime product method is essentially a mental checklist that allows me to determine whether a product is worth selling on Amazon. So it's kind of like a fun little play on words, because obviously, Amazon Prime or Prime shipping. But the P in Prime stands for product positioning, and basically just, looking at the potential product positioning opportunity for you for a specific product. So if you're looking at, castor oil, for example, this is one of the first products that I ever launched. Basically looked at, what's selling already on Amazon. And, this was like 4.5 years ago. And obviously the market wasn't as filled with tons of like castor oil sellers. But back then there was maybe, a handful of them selling very, very basic castor oil products. The packaging wasn't as aesthetic. Their marketing wasn't as great. Their listings weren't optimized. And I also found an opportunity where I could target a specific niche of people looking to use castor oil for hair growth. So not just that, but also, being even more direct with eyelash growth and eyebrow growth. So kind of filling that need and seeing if there's a way to position my product a little bit differently and therefore target different types of keywords. So it's not just castor oil, castor oil for hair growth, or castor oil for eyelash, or castor oil for eyebrow growth. And it really, it added up because not only was I diversifying where my traffic sources were coming from, they're going to different different keywords and long tail keywords. So finding a way that I can position the product that way, but also by providing more value, like adding the eyelash wand and the eye brush wand, and then also making the product organic. And it was certified organic, so we can use the badge, and that helps the listing stand out as well. So there were so many different ways that I could position the product. So from the start, I knew that this product had a lot of potential.
Hey guys, I hope you're loving today's episode. If you want to learn more about using Amazon and this opportunity, you can go and get started by going to foundr.com/Amazon training. All right, let's get back to it.
And then from there, looking at the R in Prime, which stands for reviews. So for reviews, you want to go in and look at your competitors' listings and see, okay, what are people complaining about? What are things that you can do better? And a great example of this is when we launched our aloe vera gel. We basically went in and looked at all the different reviews and found that the most common problem people ran into and complained about the most was that they smelled, especially if it's just like an all natural aloe vera gel with no preservatives or anything like that. People were complaining that it just smelled horrid or rancid. So one way that we were able to combat that is by adding, a simple ingredient. We added peppermint oil. So it kind of acted as double duty. Not only did it make it smell so much nicer, but it also added a cooling effect for the people who are using it for like sunburns, right? That's what most people use aloe vera for. So if you're finding a more unique way to enhance that experience for the customer and you give it that like cooling effect, people instantly just loved the product and ended up selling out, in the first week. So it was great. We had a lot of great feedback with that specific product. So finding, ways that you can improve on a product or solve a unique problem, or even repurposing, a different product for a different use, because you never know. Like the way I like to look at it is find a problem. If you can find different ways of solving that problem, then people are going to pay you because they need that solution. An example is, I don't know if you've ever looked up like the chainsaw and how it came to be and why it was invented, but it initially started as a way to, cut out the pelvic bone during labor to make it easier. So I know, crazy. And now it's obviously repurposed to cut down trees, and, it's been made bigger and larger to cut lumber. And so finding, different ways and solutions for simple products, or finding ways that you can improve on them. And that's where reading reviews on those products definitely helps, because those are real insights from real customers.
Yeah, I see. And look, we won't get too much into the IM&E. We've got an awesome free training that kind of goes through this in depth. But what is the IM&E, just quickly?
I is for in-demand products. So obviously looking for products that you can validate are in demand, things that people are looking for already. And you, of course, can use a bunch of different tools to validate this, like Helium 10. You can see search volume history. You can see, what your competitors are selling and how much they're actually selling, and how much revenue they're doing every month. So that's obviously a way that you can kind of validate it. And then you have M, which stands for margins and profits. This is very important because at the end of the day, you are running a business. You have to make profit. You can't lose money, otherwise you won't be able to continue operations. So this is very, very important. And then you have E, which is easy to ship and easy to make. We don't want to go and reinvent the wheel. You don't want to, spend too much time on research and development when you're first starting out. If you're very new to the whole process, you don't want to, spend a ton of money on something that you don't know is going to work. So sometimes what we'll do is, find products that we can then improve or make better. And that way, manufacturers already exist for a lot of these base products. So if you wanted to, like, for example, make a backpack, but you wanted to repurpose it and make it into like a specific gaming backpack with all these different pockets specific for, gamers. you could just find a manufacturer that specializes in backpacks or that specific material, and you can get them to make sort of these custom changes to it. And that's a lot easier than starting from scratch and trying to build out your own backpack from scratch.
I see. So, like, look, obviously you have a clear formula. It's epic, and we go through this and unpack it so much more in our free masterclass. But I'm curious, just like, talk to me about the before. Like, what hasn't worked? Talk to me about the trial and error to get here, because you've done this for a long time now. Like, starting brands on Amazon. Can you tell us kind of what are some of the stories and things that have gone wrong in the early days?
One thing that I learned being an Amazon seller is that you really have to be adaptable because things can change. What was working yesterday might not work today. So, for example, like back in the day, you could use what was called super URLs, and then they got discontinued. So everyone was freaking out. They're like, oh, like, what can we do now? Now, two-step URLs became a thing where basically you drive traffic to a search result that then tags a specific keyword to your product. And you have to click on your product to get to the actual product page. So rather than sending, direct traffic to your product page, you would send people through a two-step process to make it look a little bit more organic. And obviously Amazon has timestamps on their URLs, so that's why two steps work really well. Then you have like Google redirect URLs. So they're just like learning all the differences and really just pivoting and really staying on the ball with all the changes in the algorithm. But not only that, like, I've run into issues with not having proper quality control in place. So, for example, when we were selling vitamin C serums, and one of the suppliers that I order from for the droppers, it was like a glass dropper. We get them overseas just because it was a lot. It was actually just as fast to manufacture and ship it than it was to order directly from one of the manufacturers that were local in the States. So I would get a lot of that shipped over. And one of the shipments, I guess the droppers were like literally 2 or 3 millimeters too long. So what would happen is the dropper would touch the bottom of the glass bottle. And if you like shook it around, or if, the delivery drivers weren't careful with the packages, they just throw it on the porch, it would actually like rub together and then shatter. So it was like this huge liability where it was like, oh my God, like people are going to sue me because they're going to cut themselves. Or so I was like freaking out when I got the first complaint about it. They sent me pictures, and they sent a picture of like their thumb was like a little bit red because they had like cut themselves. So obviously I like apologized profusely and like offered to give them a refund, and then obviously sent them like a replacement as well. As well as, another product of their choice. So it's like, I'm so sorry that this happened. And, we had a customer service rep at the time, and obviously I wanted to take care of it myself just because it was a big liability that something could happen. Because obviously if you don't have insurance in place, like it can get really ugly. So ended up having to recall that batch. So, but it was a small batch. It was only like 2,000 units. And luckily we had a lot number on our products, so we can kind of tell what products were affected by that production run. So basically I had to do a recall. So obviously that's, loss of money. And it was an expensive mistake, not checking to make sure that it fits properly and not doing the proper quality control. But then, the kicker was we didn't want to waste even more money by like throwing out the rest of the droppers, because we had like bulk ordered these droppers from overseas. So now I'm stuck with another like 4,000 droppers that can't be used. So I'm like, okay, ship them to me. And then my supplier sent me like replacement dropper heads. So then I basically had to like replace them all in my living rooms. I remember me and my boyfriend literally spent like days just like replacing these freaking droppers just to make sure that we didn't like take a total L on that one mistake. So it was one way that we had to recoup our losses by being able to reuse those. And then we use that for like the next shipment and sent it into our manufacturer and let them know, hey, like, make sure you double check, triple check, quadruple check in case this ever happens again.
Yeah, wow, that would have been painful. I know it would have been fun at the start doing the dropper thing and replacing each one, but then yeah, after like probably a few hundred, you're probably sick of it, yeah?
Yeah, I was like, woo, look at this. We're bootstrapping. this is fun. And then we had like a system in place too. So like my boyfriend, he like figured out the most optimal way to like remove them, and would just like, he would be the one removing it and then I would be the one putting them in, and he would like sort it in like different bowls. It was just like this whole process that we after doing it for hours had figured out worked best.
Yeah, love it. So kind of the next step is like, let's just say use prime product method, kind of, you find a product that you think is going to sell well on Amazon. What's the next steps around kind of manufacturing? What do the logistics look like?
Yeah, so it depends on the type of product that you want to manufacture. So typically, I tell people anything that goes on your skin or in your body, so like anything that's topical, like skincare, or that goes in your body, like health foods or supplements, you typically want to manufacture them, in the States, in the US, in an FDA registered facility. Everything else you can basically get, overseas, and sometimes in the States. Actually, you'd be surprised by what can actually be manufactured in the US. So things like packaging, like I said, bottles, droppers, that type of thing, we got overseas, but we also had backup suppliers in the US, kind of just to streamline our supply chain a little bit. But if you're looking at, sourcing a specific product, if it's not too complicated, chances are there's already a manufacturer out there that specializes in the product or type of product, or even, your overall theme of product. And you can reach out to them and basically use resources like Alibaba, for example, is a really great way to source. I use Alibaba all the time. If you want to source locally, there's ThomasNet. You can obviously use Google as a great resource. And it's really just about getting on a call with these different manufacturers or emailing them, reaching out to as many as possible just to compare what their capabilities are and figure out who you enjoy working with. Because at the end of the day, you're building that relationship with them. So it has to be someone that you can actually tolerate and, are willing to work with, and that they're willing to work with you as well. So just putting that personal element, and letting them know like you're a real human being. You're not just a stack of emails that are coming in, and you have to really set yourself apart from those different people who are just cold calling and cold reaching out to suppliers. Because as much as you are looking for a supplier to work with, they also vet the people that they work with and manufacture for. So it's super important that you build up that leverage with them. And that's something that Kian talks a lot about in the course that you guys are putting out for Amazon FBA. So super, super valuable there. But obviously we can, this is a whole masterclass on its own just to talk about sourcing and manufacturing products. And I'm sure people don't want to listen to me blab about that for, days.
All good. So then kind of you find your product, then you get it produced, you find the manufacturer, and then like in terms of shipping, you want to make sure it's lightweight, ideally, and then do you just ship it to Amazon's fulfillment center, and they obviously have many? Like, how does that work?
Yeah, exactly. So you can ship it directly to Amazon. So especially if your supplier or manufacturer is local in the States, it's very, very streamlined. Literally just log into your Seller Central account and you create a shipping label directly through Amazon, and you send that to your manufacturer and they can literally send it directly to Amazon. So oftentimes you're not even handling your product, which is really, really cool about this business model. The fact that you don't really have to touch your product and be like the middleman for it. If you're shipping from overseas, it can get a little bit more complicated because then you have to ask yourself if you want to do shipment by sea or by air. But you can still technically ship directly from overseas to Amazon. Oftentimes I tell people to ship it to a 3PL or like a pre-packaging or inspection company first, just so they can, inspect the product before you send it into Amazon to save you any hassle from, quality control aspects. It's always good to have a second look at it. But very, very simple. You can create a shipping label within 2 minutes on Amazon's end and send your product in. They get it checked in, and basically your listing goes live, and you can start promoting it. You can start, running PPC, sending friends and family to your listing, getting people to purchase and support you that way, promoting through social media. There's so many different ways that you can go about promoting the product. And then you'll start to gain, traction. And once you get up in the search results, and ideally you want to be on page 1, that's where you see a lot of organic traffic from the 300 million, customers on Amazon.
Yeah, amazing. So it really is kind of like pretty straightforward. But then I guess a lot of people might be thinking kind of elephant in the room is like, is it too competitive? It's 2020, end of 2021 doing this interview right now. Is it too late to get in? Like, there's a lot of people, there's a lot of people talking about Amazon, I'm curious, like, do you think that, yeah.
There's a lot of money still to be made with Amazon. I think it would be ignorant to think that there's not. Like, there's opportunity and you get what you put into it. So if you're planning on selling on Amazon, obviously there's going to be competition anywhere that you go, right? Whether it's retail, whether it's selling on your own website, but then on your own website you have to drive your own traffic, but then you're competing with the other people running Facebook ads and their large budgets. So like no matter what, you're always going to be competing in some capacity to get the attention of a customer. Amazon just makes it kind of simple because people go to Amazon to buy. This is where a lot of conversions happen. People see a lot higher conversion rates on Amazon than they do with their own website for a reason. It's because people that search on Amazon are already there with the intention of going to buy something. So they're a lot easier to convert. The fact that they have their credit card saved on file, it makes it such a streamless process. And also knowing that your customer is taken care of end to end, right? Amazon has customer service 24/7 around the clock. So if someone has an issue with the product, they have someone that they can talk to. So there's a lot more trust on that platform. Now, obviously, there's always going to be competition, but the way that you set yourself apart is by building a very strong brand. And that's something that I talk about all the time is you have to build something that's different. You have to build something that, is your own unique, has your own mission statement, your own values, things that, you can really stand behind and get your customers excited about. So at the end of the day, if you're providing a quality product and a really great brand overall, people are going to buy your product. There's no question about it. And I think that Amazon is actually creating more of a, I think they're creating more of a level playing field in a sense where you can actually compete with like the Johnson and Johnsons of the world or these big brand name companies that are listing their products on Amazon. Because more oftentimes than not, like if you search on Amazon for any specific product, most of the time you find brands that you've probably never even heard about. So it's crazy. There's all these, smaller brands that are popping up on the first page because ultimately they know how to react faster than the big companies out there with lots of oversight. So I think that, it actually created a level playing field, I'd say.
Yeah, no, it's funny you say that because I was just thinking like, I was looking to buy some special chairs for, we've got our dog's first birthday party this weekend.
Oh, I love that. That's so
and,
cute.
and I was like, oh yeah, I'll just get some off Amazon, could get them fast. And like, I don't care about the brand. Like, it's like, yeah, there's, I'm not, this is where you go, right? Like, so, you make a really good point there where you can compete with big brands and you can create brands like, there might be an outdoor brand that I never heard of and then I buy their chairs and then off you go, right? So we have to work towards wrapping up. But the last question I have to ask you is like, some people might be a bit skeptical, right? We've asked you to, create this extremely comprehensive program on our course platform, how to start, scale, and sell an Amazon brand, everything you've done from doing this multiple times. Why are you so willing to share kind of your learnings and help others? Because a lot of people would, want to keep this to themselves.
Like I said, there's so much to go around for everyone. There's so much money to be made online on Amazon. And, like I wouldn't be where I am if it wasn't for the key people in my life at the beginning of my journey who pointed me in the right direction or helped mentor me, people who answered my questions when I was lost. And if it wasn't for them, like I wouldn't be in the position that I am today. And I really feel like I need to pay it forward. And this is my opportunity to do that, to be able to help people in such a crazy world shift where, having a secondary income is necessary, where you need to be able to take control of your own life and your own matters. So if I didn't have that same opportunity to learn from, other people, like I wouldn't have what I have today. And I think that it's very important to have an abundance mindset to be able to share the things that you know. And at the end of the day, if I'm also teaching, that means that I'm learning as well. I've always been a firm believer where if you can teach something, you end up, just processing it so much better and understanding concepts a lot better. And I think that's why it's great to kind of be in that position to be able to help people, but also, for my own benefit, I'm also constantly learning myself. I'm a student of life, and if someone has a question and maybe I don't have the answer, but then I'm equipped to be able to find out what the answer is very quickly because I know the space very well, then I might learn something new myself. And that keeps me up to date with everything going on in the Amazon world. So that way I can, react quickly.
Yeah, awesome. Well, look, we'll move to the hot seat round. Got a few questions, 30-second rapid fire answers. The first question is, if you could have dinner with one entrepreneur, dead or alive, who would it be and why?
I would love to have dinner with my 16-year-old self, actually. If I could, go back in time and tell myself everything that I knew now, I think that would be amazing.
What's one thing you wish people knew about Amazon FBA?
Amazon can be your friend if you let it. I think a lot of people are afraid of Amazon, but you really need to embrace them. The saying is true where like if you can't beat them, join them. So I think the same is true with Amazon, and you really get what you put into it. So if you go into this, with the mindset of taking this seriously, treating it like an actual business, because at the end of the day, Amazon can be one aspect or one facet of your business, but you need to treat it like one, and you need to treat it like a separate business, because the Amazon, I guess, business model, it's its own thing. And it's very different from how you would sell on your Shopify store or how you would sell to retail. So very, very important that you take it seriously and that you give it the chance that it deserves.
Yeah, awesome. And what is one product or category that you think is going to dominate in 2021 and beyond?
I think that pet supplies actually very, 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 massive potential for pet products. There's actually a company called Zesty Paws, and they just sold for $610 million. Absolutely insane. But I think more and more people, especially with the pandemic, have furry friends, pets, and people like myself. Like I'm a fur mom, so there's nothing I wouldn't do for my dog, and there's like no amount of money that I wouldn't be willing to spend on my dog to get the best that he deserves. Like whether it's toys, like he has probably like 50 different toys. He goes through them like crazy. I don't know how he does it, but he has like really sharp teeth. So if someone can create, a tougher toy, that would be great.
Yeah, awesome. Well, look, thank you so much, Melisa. We will, wrap there, but I really appreciate your time. And thank you so much for going above and beyond, working with us at Foundr, giving back to our community, teaching on our platform. And I'm really, really excited for, your course to launch and get out into the world.
Thank you so much.
Hey guys, hope you're loving our videos and that you're getting heaps of value from them. If you are, make sure to hit the like button and make sure to subscribe to join the Foundr fam. If you did enjoy this video and want to continue to master your skills, make sure you click here to access your free training now, where we'll go into way more depth with this Foundr.